Hey, 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 good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the Ladypreneurs Freedom Seekers Live TV episode number 45. And it's already almost weekend. For many, that's a good day, Friday. For others say, okay, it's just another day. I have a special guest, and she has an amazing topic that I never heard of before. So I'm really curious about what she's going to say. She is from Arizona and just said to me that Sedona is such a nice place. And I really want to go over to the States very soon. So I already told her that's on my to-do list too. She has two lovely huskies with a lot of energy, which make her walk between 9 and 12 miles a day. Oh my God, I can learn from her because I'm not walking that much with my dog. And she is a coach, and she is in inspiring greatness coaching. So all the things that I really love. So I'm going to get her to the stream so we can talk about it. Welcome, Lori.
Hi, Monique.
There she is. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much.
How do I pronounce your last name? Is that Raggio or Raggio or
Raggio?
Raggio. It's an Italian name?
Very.
Do you have Italian roots?
I do. I mean, I kept my married name for now,
Okay.
but part of my mom's side of the family, her maiden name was Marciando. So very Italian on one side, very German on the other, and then had married into very Italian.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Lori, thank you for your time. Thank you for making the time to help inspire ladypreneurs out there to become stronger in their journey, to maybe get that little spark from one of my conversations with you amazing women. So tell us a little bit, who is Lori? A little bit before you became an entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I actually am the oldest of 4 children that grew up in a family that was very focused on education and learning. And I think that really fueled kind of the different careers that I went into. Initially I was a clinician, kind of like a social worker, working in healthcare and substance abuse treatment and employee assistance programs, and then went into human resources. So I was a human resource executive for about 30 years, but primarily in learning and development. So did a lot of training. And also that's when I started to do coaching within the organization. And all of my career has been in healthcare. And at one point I had a fairly big decision to make. I thought, do I want to be a clinician, like have my own private practice and do clinical work, or do I really want to get more involved in the business side? And I decided it was the business that I was really drawn to. And so I went to college to get a second master's in business administration. And that, I think, really was one of the things that got me interested in eventually having my own business. I loved working with organizations and seeing if I could support their culture development, employee engagement, and just, looking at doing things a different way than that they had been doing it before.
Wow. So because the people roll into entrepreneurship for many different reasons.
Yes.
I have a lovely lady I talked to a few months ago, and she also was in corporate. She worked there for a long time. She was already coaching. She's also in HR. From there on, and then from there on, she rolled into starting her own business. I think that is so exciting, but also very intriguing, because you choose for a certain way. You go to school, high school, university, whatever. You do a career for almost 30 years or 32 years, you said?
Yeah, 30 years.
And then still become an entrepreneur. I find it very interesting that you can decide, even at a certain moment in your life when you're not 25 anymore, to become an entrepreneur. Because many women would say, okay, I'm not that young anymore for starting a business. How did that feel to you?
Well, I think it ties into, I feel like I model and have modeled and continue to model what I work with my coaching clients on. So it's like finding what is your true purpose, your true core purpose in your life, and then your values and your passions. And then what I found personally and professionally is that when all of those align, then we're the most productive and then we're the happiest.
Yeah.
When there's misalignment, then we're really typically not doing what we're doing that we would love. We're not as happy, or our relationships are affected, everything.
Yeah.
And so, I think for me, I moved into starting my business because my position at that point of 11, almost 16 years had been eliminated. I had been thinking about being an entrepreneur. I wanted to start my own business, but it really pushed me. And thank goodness that it did, because it was sooner than I had planned. And, it's been amazing.
Wow. Do you see in your practice, in your coaching journey, how do I say, more and more women discover over 40 wanting to become an entrepreneur? Because just what you said a little bit before, they we become more calmer, more posed, more certain of ourselves. I said the other day to a girlfriend, I gained maybe 15 pounds in the last in the last 2.5 years, but I feel more certain of myself than I was 5 years ago. Of all now I will not go in bikini. No, that is still something that I have to overcome. But I'm more certain of myself. It's maybe experience, it's maybe age, I have no idea. But do you see that in your practice also, that women become more decisive over? Yeah.
Well, but I see it in women who are willing to go inside first. It's women who are willing to look at themselves, to do the work themselves. And then I think that confidence builds, and then it just shines. As I was thinking of, this conversation today, I was thinking of, certain of my clients, and my clients are anywhere from in their early 30s to in their 70s, dealing with all different kinds of transitions. And, all of them, as I have made my own changes and taken risks and become more aligned for myself, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So my own energy and things that are a result of what I'm doing, they're feeling it too.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so it's amazing to see, new jobs, new relationships, purchasing different homes, getting onto boards just things that they have wanted to do. Taking one of my clients, early 30s, single, started working with her about 2 years ago, and she was fairly shy and just not certain at all about herself. Next month, she's taking a solo trip to Ireland, what she has wanted to do.
Wow.
It's just like, I think what really is amazing that I just love to see, and I think it happens with all of us women when we do our own work, is that when we decide what's really important to us, we can do anything.
Yeah.
We can do anything. And so, taking these risks and getting ourselves out there. And
don't you see that? Do you also see that? I will not say a movement, but I have the feel we had the feminist time in the 70s. Yeah. That's not what is happening now. I feel that women are more standing up for themselves, for being a woman, and not being, I want to be the same like a man. No, I am a woman and I can do this. There is more things that are available for us. The acceptance is more. Isn't that also a reason why more women are becoming stronger or searching to do the things differently than before?
I think there's so many of us now that are pulling together, that are working more in community, that it's harder to not see us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if there's that much more acceptance, because I think, you know, I've still experienced quite a bit of kind of pushback, but I think there's so many of us now that are saying, hey, you know,
You
here's our
cannot
gifts.
go around us anymore.
Yeah, you can't go around us, you know.
Wonderful.
And just us being more visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the access in the internet maybe also, it helps also a lot. So you are a greatness coach, a soul activist, but also a geographical soulmate coach. I don't know if I say it right, but that is something that when I heard that from our mutual friend,
Yes.
Lisa, I thought, what is a geographical coach, soul coach? Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yes. So I liken it to when we think about being business owners, we know that we need to be healthy in order to grow our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And that health can be physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. And I'm adding one more and calling it really geographical health. And so the idea is that there are geographies throughout the world that we thrive in, that really support us, that are aligned again with our core purpose and our values. And that when we're in those geographies, anything is possible. That there's a different sense of who we are. And I think, you know, before we went live, you and I were talking a little bit about this, but there's this connection and this connectedness to the land in those geographies that sometimes are just hard to even describe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And each person has maybe one or multiple of these geographies.
And how do you find then? Is that a natural feeling that you are in a certain part of the world? You say, okay, this is it, or is that something you can learn, teach? Find?
Yeah, I think I think it happens for some people where they just go. And if you even think about, you know, vacations that you've taken or places that you've gone, and there's just this feeling like you don't want to leave. Like once you get there, you just don't want to leave. And so to me, that's part of the first feeling, kind of the first inclination that, okay, maybe this is one of those locations. For people who haven't quite felt that yet, one of the things that I did in the chapter in the most recent book that I was a part of, I have like questions, like, you know, how can you start to look for that place if you haven't already had the experience? You know, it's kind of thinking about, well, where are those bucket lists for you? You know, when you go online and just go like maybe even to a travel site, are there things and places that just as you're even seeing pictures of, you get this like draw, you know, like this pull, you know, like, oh my goodness, I need to go visit there, or there's something about that place. But as I've talked to more people, and this is a new concept. I mean, I'm actually getting it trademarked because it doesn't exist. And the other way of people thinking about it, because it's kind of a concept that's hard to grasp at first if you haven't had the experience, but thinking about finding a human soulmate, you know, that person who you just can't wait to see, can't wait to be around, that they just really complement and kind of pull out the best in you. That process that we go through, you know, of discerning, and we've got our list, you know, and we've got our kind of non-negotiables. Same kind of thing with the geographical soulmate.
Wow. And then the great things can happen when you find that spot then.
Yes.
But what happens if you are in a relationship or you have children and everybody has a different geographical soulmate? What happens then?
Well, it's funny because I've been talking to couples about this, and a woman who is in part of a network that I'm in, she said that exact same thing. And she said, well, you know, where we live now is really kind of the geographical soulmate for my spouse. And I said, well, where would yours be? And so we kind of explored that. She went back and had a conversation with her spouse, and he's like, well, we can have two different places that we go. Maybe we're in one for 6 months and, you know, the other for the, so they're in the process of actually exploring where that second place is.
Okay. That's interesting.
You know? And I think when we think about many of us entrepreneurs, depending on what we do, we might be able to do what we do from wherever. Mm-hmm. And so I've also found that in the last 2 years since the onset of COVID, that people have been spending a lot more time thinking about what's really important to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And are they in the place, personally, professionally, geographically, that really fits and aligns the most with what's important to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. You were in corporate before, in HR, and then you told me that you started your business in 2018. Is that correct?
Yes.
And were you in person? Did you have an in-person practice, or was it already online?
It was already online. So most of my coaching, even, you know, once I moved from corporate, almost all my coaching has always been through Zoom, even if the person was locally to me. Okay. So that's just been something. So it was fascinating that, you know, when I was able to move from Maryland to Arizona, I was able to keep all of those coaching clients because they didn't care.
And was that a decision that you made in that moment that you started on Zoom? Was there something that triggered that? Because most people often start in person in their coaching project.
I think some of it was, you know, when I had first started out as a clinician, all of my work was done via phone. So building kind of that relationship with people virtually has been something that's been a part of my career forever, really. Mm-hmm. So lots of comfort with that. And so to me, you know, that presence of someone, at least being able to see them, mm-hmm. you can build a really strong relationship and a very trusting relationship, and it doesn't need to be in person.
Yeah, so. That's. And did you see through? We talked about a little bit about COVID. A lot changed in those years. Mindset. A lot of good things came out of it. I had a conversation with a lady yesterday, and she said, "I am happy that it happened for all the things that happened because it also created a lot of opportunities." Did you see a shift in your patients, in your clients, the kind of things they wanted to talk to you about? Was there a huge shift? Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
And how you handled that?
And I think that's why I'm seeing all of these changes in my clients, because what I do is I support them in taking a look at where they currently are in their lives and where do they want to be. And so looking at that gap and what are the blocks and what's holding them back, and then helping them to address those. Mm-hmm. And so I think during COVID, what was happening to people is that nothing was normal anymore. Yeah. And so it gave them an opportunity to think beyond what I call their comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And what we know is that anything beyond our comfort zone is actually where we can tap into all of these opportunities and possibilities. Yes. And so we got to get out of that. COVID did that for all of us. Mm-hmm. So I think people have been more open to take a look at those things. You know, when I think of kind of across the board of my current clients, in the last 2 years, I've seen huge shifts in people taking different jobs that were, again, more in line and more accepting of their skills and their talents and their gifts, and just being able to bring their whole personality to the job. So they changed jobs. People got married. It's all of those important life kinds of changes I've seen happening. Yeah. So I think people are more open.
More open, yeah. Is that
Yeah.
because I also heard from different coaches that there was also a lot of on the other side, that a lot of people, the scary part, the anxiety
Yes.
part, that is something that also happened a lot for a
Yes.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Can you share maybe a story of a not no names, please,
Yeah.
but a story that you could help a person that you thought, oh my God, that was such a huge accomplishment for that person. If I hadn't decided to become a coach,
Ah,
to do this, that person maybe never would have helped. Is that a story that you can share with us?
yeah. Let me think. Because there's been so many.
A story that most impacted you.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell one here. This is a former coaching client of mine. I met more so through the professional network, human resource professional network that we were a part of. And then became her coach and continue to be a support to her. I would anticipate that maybe even sometime in the next couple months, she may become my client again.
Mm-hmm.
But she's the type of person who very outgoing, but was not in a role that was really feeding her soul. It just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so during the time of coaching with her, she changed jobs twice, I think, twice. And I tend to work with people for years. So most of my clients right now, they're either 2 or 3 plus years of work. And one of the things that was recently happening with her was that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so part of the work that we did was, how was she wanting to be visible to support other people?
Okay.
And watching her, she has used Facebook throughout the whole diagnosis to share so vulnerably everything, pictures, everything that she's going through. And she's got this most amazing outlook. I don't know if I would be the same.
Yeah, able to do that.
Just amazing, totally amazing. And one of the things that she recently shared, and I know you talked to Marianne Pack, and Marianne's doing this book on being unmuted, that's including a podcast and a book. And I reached out to this person and I said, I think it's time. I think this is an opportunity for you. I think this is time. And so she decided that, yeah, she is going to be a part of that.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
And
so she's going to share.
Yeah. And just this week, she also reached out. She said, you are the first person that I'm telling this to, but I've decided I'm creating something. She goes, I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but I'm creating something because I need to support other women who are going through this as well.
Yeah.
And earlier this week, I had connected her with someone else that I know that was recently diagnosed and who's just starting her journey. And so it's like, through work that we did over years, and then this continued kind of connection and supporting, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's just
she may be the next coach, but then it's specifically for
Yes.
helping women with the
Yes.
same problem that she has. And that is amazing. That is what we always teach. When people say, I don't have something to tell, something to share, everybody has something to share.
Yes.
And it doesn't always have to be a story like that. That is already something that is awful, but can become one of the best things in her life. Because if she can help 1,000 or 10,000 women going through that, then that is amazing. So I congratulate you for helping her with that. So back to the business side, because we are already almost at the end of this conversation, but I really want to know, as a business owner, Are there some things that you say, this is what I have to do on a daily basis to grow my business? That is how I became successful. That is how I grew my client base. Do you have 3 to 5 non-negotiables that you say, okay, Monique, that is really that I have to contribute my success to?
Yeah, for me, I think it is the networking and the connections. So I have always been a part of associations in my fields. I've even, gotten involved in boards. So I think being visible with like-minded women and supporting each other has tremendously helped. Being able to be more visible, and it's something I'm still working on since I moved, but be visible like this, being willing to support another female entrepreneur, with their business, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a book anthology. Those are some of the more unique things that I've been involved in the last 2 years that have really supported my business.
Yeah.
It's the connections, it's the offer of support, and then those individuals will be there to support us as well.
The connections and the conversations.
It is. To me, it all starts with the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's connections, conversations, and collaboration, because we know Dr. Davia, the collaboration queen, Mary-Ann Peck. She is also in the same group, and it's all about connection, collaboration, and conversation. Yeah, that's so true.
It is.
So, Laurie, we are on the end of this amazing conversation. Thank you for that. But before I let you go, I still have a few questions for you. First of all, where can people reach out to you if they want to take the conversation further with you in person, or if they have some questions for you? Where can they find you?
So one of the things that I mentioned earlier to you was that I'm in the process of kind of like rebranding everything. So my website is right now under construction. So really the best way to reach me is at my email address, which is Laurie at inspiregreatnesscoaching.com.
At Inspire.
And people can also find me on both Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And Facebook
Inspire with an E.
Sorry,
INSPIRE.
sorry, there is an E missing. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I was typing it too fast. I was already almost giving your Gmail address, so I stopped. This is the one. So Laurie at inspiregreatnesscoaching.com. On LinkedIn, are you at Laurie Raggio?
I am.
And on Facebook also at Laurie Raggio, and I already put the link in this description. So before we part, do you have some last words of wisdom that you really would like to share with the audience, especially with women that are maybe thinking, okay, I want to become a coach, I want to become an entrepreneur, I want to do something for myself, but they're still hesitating? What would you advise them?
My advice is, if you're feeling it, and it's aligned with who you are and where you're going in your life, take that very first step. Then the next steps are much easier, but just do it. Just don't wait. There's so much adventure, so much excitement, so many wonderful things available to you. And so just start.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, I wish you all the best. I wish you lots of success and lots of wonderful, inspiring clients, and an amazing day for today. And I hope to talk soon. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. So, ladypreneurs out there, wasn't she amazing? I always love that I don't know the story about the ladies that I have the conversations with, because that way it stays genuine, it stays authentic, and I get surprised by those conversations. I love that when somebody after 32 years decides to become an entrepreneur. I totally love that. I already spoke with several women that did a little bit the same way, and then having success in their new career. Why? Because they are sharing their wisdom, their expertise, their knowledge, their hurdles in life. So it's never too late to start your own business journey, or changing something for yourself in your life, it is all one decision away from happening. So if you want to talk to Laurie, then please click on the link in this description to find her on Facebook, or write her a little email so you can get in contact with her. So for now, I wish you all the best. Have an amazing weekend, and we will see. I hope to see you on Monday for the next training video at 10 a.m. CST and 11 a.m. EST. See you Monday. Bye bye.